prior to
thank you,
construction.
bye-bye. You're live.
We're live? All right, call meeting to order. 6 o'clock. Item 1, citizens' time. Hearing and seeing none, moving on to item 2, phase 2 sewer project.
I have a couple of things. So you have a peer review letter in front of you from Woodard and Curran. That's for the 93 Kendall Road latest review. I don't know, Dan, if you wanted to speak to that at all?
No, it's not a ton to speak to. It's everything looks good. It was really just to memorialize that, as far as the Tyngsborough infrastructure is concerned and what we may, through the agreement, take over, it meets our expectations and the commission's standards.
So, I just have a
Go ahead.
question. So, before we take over, we're taking over these?
No,
No.
we're not taking over any of the private
That's
infrastructure.
what I thought.
No.
What was his last comment? Before
What
we
was your
take over?
last comment, Dan? Because he wasn't.
I meant with the public infrastructure that's downstream, sorry.
Oh,
Okay.
All right.
Okay. And speaking of that agreement, we got an update this week that they're very close on their end to finalizing that. Once they do, they'll let us know and I'll send it out for your review and you can finalize that. I do have one more
Go ahead.
issue. Okay. So the 440 Plaza has a couple of new restaurants going in. So there's 3 different parcels there that were assessed betterments at the time of the project. There was the cinema in the back, which is its own kind of entity. There was, used to be where the Dollar Tree Plaza and Dunkin' Plaza, that was all one parcel at one point in time, and then everything else was one parcel. So we tracked the flow for them as far as what they were, as each new business is coming in, we're just making sure everybody has enough flow. So the Dunkin' and the Dollar Tree Plaza was split out probably 3 years ago. We talked about it at the time at the meeting. You had Woodard and Curran take a look at how, because originally that one parcel had 10 ERUs and how to split that. So they had looked at it and calculated the front should have 4 and the side should have 6. And we sent that information on to the management company and said, let us know, get us something in writing from the new owner of the Dunkin' Plaza so that, and then we'll take it to the registry, split out that betterment, split out the flow officially. So in the meantime, all these years, the main plaza owner has been paying it because we're still waiting on that. So occasionally we touch base about it and I say, okay, as soon as we get some official paperwork. So that's finally in the works now. They spoke with, the new owner has changed hands again. They spoke with the new owner. I typed up a form that shows the complete split out of the betterments. I'll have both parties sign it once I get that back, have it recorded at the registry, and then I'll pass it on to the assessors. And then they can split out the betterment for the 3rd and 4th quarter real estate billing. So that's one thing. So with that, once I got confirmation from them that yes, you agree with how we're gonna split this out, and they did agree. There's a new restaurant going in next to Dunkin', so they will have enough flow for Dunkin' and that new restaurant. They're all set. The back one with their new restaurant, they needed to purchase an additional 3 ERUs. So if you remember, Woodard and Curran had done a capacity study for Drake It this summer. There's over 300,000 gallons of available capacity heading to Drake It, so we have plenty of flow. They needed 990 gallons. So they came in this week with a check for that. So now they have enough for that plaza to put that new restaurant in. As far as the other plaza, it currently has Tavern in the Square, which has their own water meter, so I can see their actuals all the time. And then they have Player One going in. So I reached out to the developer because I just need to get some estimated flows on Player One, just so that we can keep tracking, no one else is in there at this point. But there is a rock climbing place going in, as well as a new Taka Asian restaurant. So I asked for all 3 of their flow estimates, just so we can keep a running tab. And they said they're actually doing their own kind of flow analysis on the whole thing, and they'll provide that to us at the time, because they want to be able to track it as landlords as they're getting these new tenants in, how much flow are they using and so forth. So that's my update on 440, and that's all I have on phase 2.
All right. Item 3, old business, phase 1 west discussion. 50 Westwood, anything? No. 95, 97 Westwood Mobile.
Yeah, so, the Sportsman's Club just got their plumbing safety inspection done, and they pulled their trench permit. So JP and Sons will be doing the work, they should be close now, cause they're at that final stretch of what they
Yeah,
need to do.
Sometime next week, I think.
Next week, okay. And then
And
it
then
just
we can-
reminds you, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, just to remind you, once they connect, then you'll take that vote per the agreement to take over that line from mobile.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then we can take this off the agenda.
Yes.
Perfect.
It's only been how many years?
No
I
kidding,
know,
huh?
Gotta kinda
I know.
miss it.
Item B, discussion on sewer garage. I&I program.
Dan, the only thing I have on the II is, you'll be giving me the drawdown through September as well as the quarterly report?
Yep, we're pulling together the invoice right now.
Okay.
We're just pulling together the tables and whatnot. The invoice is ready, so
Okay,
should have that by, I don't know who's working on Monday, in our office, but I'll try to get it over to you by Tuesday.
perfect.
And then as far as general updates, we're doing some CCTV in Acton, so that on Tuesday, so like during that rainstorm, so that should give us an idea of, you know, if we're seeing a good II response in the collection system there. And then my plan is to, as soon as we feel like there's gonna be high groundwater, we'll reinvestigate those pipes on Constantine and, just check to see if there's any more activity than we saw in July when things kinda dried up on us. But, yeah, other than that, I think sooner than later, especially once this shutdown's over, we should meet with the regulators and talk through, you know, what we're recommending and see if they're in agreement, based on our findings, cause there hasn't been a lot of findings to date aside from the landfill discharge. So before we finish our report, I think it would be good just to sit down and talk to them about what we found. Figure out what the next steps might be there.
All right, that's it for I&I?
Yes.
Just,
Yep.
quick question, anything on Charles George's? I don't
Yes,
see it
so
on the
they,
agenda.
they are, 1 week from today is scheduled for them to jet the line. Paul will be out there, they were gonna do it on Monday, but,
Yeah, they changed the schedule, it's on 10/20 now.
Oh,
yeah.
did they find it? Oh, just so they could,
Yeah, they had
Camera it, I got it.
conflicts with the, jet truck and the camera crew.
they have to have them both out there, so. And then as soon as that day happens, I'll set up a
Yeah.
meeting for us all to get together.
future sewer phase?
So as you know, at the last meeting, you all signed the MVPC grant contract for Woodard and Curran. I got that signed off by finance director and sent it off to Woodard and Curran. So at this point, Dan, you guys, I think, are free to start work on that, right, on the Phelan's design?
Yeah, I'm gonna open up on our end and we'll get the boring done before the freeze hits here and get out and do an inspection and then get the design moving.
Awesome,
Alright, that's it on, future sewer phases?
Yes.
Flint's Corner Development?
So I emailed the owners, the 2 dates this month that we were meeting, to invite them back to finish our discussion about the MOA and reserving flow or what was needed. I don't see them here this evening, so I'm assuming maybe they'll come to the next one.
Okay. Tyngsborough Housing, I guess there's nothing there because nothing on II, nothing on the other development, correct?
Correct.
Burtfield Pawtucket Boulevard,
Okay, so they had asked you guys back in August if they could have the technical memos from Wood and Curran for the pumps and the electrical for the upgrades at the inn. The attorney had said, hold off until the private parties get that, they now have it, so I sent that off to them this week. So they should have all of that. And Jake had a good suggestion, he was just saying that before that development gets their final approval from the sewer commission, that because there's an existing private agreement between the condos, the Bridalveil Meadow, and the inn about the sewer flow, that you, and taking into consideration our past experiences, we may wanna have them add an addendum showing, number one, that the sewer commission will never be taking over any of that private infrastructure, but number two, that now that there's a third party in there, that they should come up with a clear cut who's paying for utilities, who's paying for O&M on that system, so that we don't end up in the same position where parties were not, you know, agreeing to it, and then it comes back and we get dragged into it. So, just something to keep in mind.
Because it's gonna have to be specific, you know,
Yeah.
Set up.
That's right.
right to the letter, done.
Yeah.
Asset management plan?
I have the contract from Woodard and Curran for you to sign, Brian, and then they can, Jim, did you have anything else you wanted to add on the asset management?
We're still waiting to hear from DEP whether they're, I'm sure it's gonna be approved, we're just waiting to get the official word from them. And that'll come probably directly to you or maybe the town manager.
Okay,
You'll get a letter
okay,
saying it's approved, so. We submitted everything to DEP last Friday, and they've already responded and approved a few others that we've been working on, so it seems like they're gonna turn these around really, really fast.
okay, that's
So,
good.
yeah, it
Yeah.
is really good, yeah,
And that's Mass DEP,
Yes.
not federal.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So hopefully, I'm pretty sure you're gonna hear pretty soon, so.
Yeah.
They are, this is something that DEP is really encouraging all utilities to do, so this is something they want people to start doing. As a, really think about how you're gonna take care of your assets as opposed to just kinda winging it sometimes, so.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good idea.
So
It is, yeah.
This contract's $238,080.
Yes, and that includes the grant, from DEP that we're waiting on approval for. So, we had to budget the full amount in fiscal '26, because that's just how DEP, you have to budget full
Yeah.
amount. But they would reimburse 60% of that.
Yeah, and obviously, we're not gonna start anything until we get that official word from, even though he gives the agreement signed, we won't start anything until we get from.
So what is our exposure with the 40%?
So it ends up we'd be paying just under 100,000. Yeah, they'd be paying like about 150, just under that.
All right. Item 4, new business, topic chair did not reasonably anticipate will be discussed. Anybody? Item 5, the sewer administrator's report.
Okay, so I just have meeting minutes and executive session ones from September 25th.
Did I see you emailed these, right?
I did, yes.
Make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from September 25th as printed.
I'll second that.
The motion is second. Further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Unanimous.
Okay, and then for executive session?
Executive session meeting minutes approved for September 25th as printed, not to distribute.
I'll second that.
Not to be released, right?
Not to be released.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor? Opposed?
And then I have some bills warrants we need to check out. And then if it's okay while you're doing that, I just wanted to briefly mention the capital for fiscal '27. Is that all right, Brian?
Yep.
Okay, so the town's trying to do the budgets earlier this year, and the first section of that is the capital. So all of our capital items are due by November 4th. So I thought we could talk about it now and then finalize it at the next meeting, and then I can turn it in. So I spoke with Woodard and Curran, with Jim and Dan, for anything that was related to the project costs, like where we had grants and we had to do matches, just to get ideas on the timelines of what fiscal year are these how much of the project do you foresee us doing in this fiscal year and so forth. So there's 5 capital items I'm seeing right now. The first one is every year we budget for 2 pump replacements. We always budget for flights because they're the most expensive, just to be conservative, because we don't know what pumps would go throughout the year. So I did get, I got this week a quote from Flight, and I asked if they could give me an idea of what percentage I should increase it for next year. They really couldn't do that. They said this year they got hit hard with price increases and so forth. So just to be conservative, I'm gonna throw a 20% increase on there. And then we always budget for a generator. So this year I took the current quote we got this year for the generator we purchased this year, which is on the smaller side. And he recommended I add 20% to that for next year's increase, so I did that as well. And then we have, 3 matches. So the first one is the Felix project design. So the MVPC grant that you guys all signed last week, we have $29,000 of a grant for Wood and Curran to begin the Phalanx design. And they, we talked about that a little bit more at the last meeting, but basically they're gonna do like, an assessment of current conditions over at the pump station, some borings work, and then they'll begin as much of the design as they can get in for that $29,000. So I asked Dan if he could provide me what the remainder of that would be outside the grant, and it's gonna be about $200,000, cause it's typically, he said, about 10% of your construction costs. So I figured we would try to budget for that because we need that done before, obviously, we proceed with that project. The second thing is, as you know, we have that Phalanx, that huge grant to do the project itself. So as soon as, we tried to look at the timeline on that, as soon as the federal budget gets voted on and where we know that we can proceed, then there's a whole application process. Even though you got the grant, you have to go through this whole application process through EPA because they administer the grant. So there's a lot of, you know, they wanna see your budget, they wanna see your timeline, details and all of that. So that typically, thinking on the last grants took about a year. And then obviously we need to have Wood and Curran do that design. Dan's thinking maybe within about 4 months of them starting it, next July, that could be done. So by that time, it could be maybe November of next year. So he thinks maybe if we budget 75% of our match for that project in fiscal '27, and then 25% in fiscal '28, that should probably work out. I can't foresee us starting much earlier than like, you know, a year and a half from now. So that 75% of that match is $366,000. And then lastly, we have the asset management plan. So that's in this fiscal year. However, because of, you know, we're still waiting on the paperwork from DEP to give us that approval, it's gonna push us out a few months from when I think we originally thought we'd start it. So some of that's gonna loop into fiscal '27. So, Jim was thinking maybe about we can carry about $50,000 for that. So altogether with all of those items, we're looking at just capital to be about $780,000. Obviously the things that are gonna affect that is, we have to see what the O&M budget's gonna be, we have to estimate our revenues and wait and see what we get from certified retained earnings. So those things haven't happened yet. I started working on the other part of the budget today. That's a very long process, so over the next month, should be able to get that information. I don't know when the certified retained earnings will come in, but they're supposed to come in before our budgets are due. So, but I can at least get the revenue estimated, try to get a good number on the O&M, and then we'll see if we can do all of this and prioritize, you know, what we do and when. The good thing about the CDS grants in the past is typically they don't have a deadline of when you have to get it done by. It's usually, you kind of tell them your schedule. So if that's still the same case, that buys us a little bit of time to get the design done, and, you know, worst case scenario, if we had to move it into fiscal '28 to begin on July or something, but all of that's up in the air because there's a few steps before we get to that haven't happened yet. But other than that, hopefully I'll have some more input on this at the next meeting.
We can always modify, right? It's really early to project what's happening after July 1st of next year, so.
Yes.
The budget doesn't usually get approved till what, March timeframe-ish?
Right, so we have to turn the capital in, November 4th, and then the actual budget will be due December 4th. They're doing them early this year, but like you said, worst case scenario, if something changed, I think before it gets voted on, you'd have time to maybe, fix one of those items.
You can always change it if something happens and the operating budget needs to be higher and you can't.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just,
so.
I know they wanna get stuff done early, but sometimes it's,
Yeah.
the stuff we do is not always clear, the timeline.
What's that?
That's all I
Good.
have.
Thanks.
That's it?
Yes.
Senior foreman's report?
We sent Bridgeview Circle about the fence, we sent them a letter, get the fence repaired.
Yes.
We didn't get nothing back yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. 20 Elm Street's all set with their pool, it's disconnected from the main, and did that today. And Bridge Meadowbrook, I was, waiting for the pressure release valves to come in, they were supposed to come in this week, but I don't think they're in yet, we'll shoot for next week, so as soon as they come in, we'll have them installed. And that's all I got today.
Anybody have questions? No? All right, item 7, correspondence,
No,
complaints?
no,
Do we need number 9?
yes, for just a very quick update.
Okay, so, we need a motion to go into executive session. Which one? All of them, both?
Just the first, sorry, Vesper, that's it.
Somebody wanna make that
Other
motion?
than this?
Sure.
He is posted already.
What did they have, which ones?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Vesper. Section
Just
Vesper.
It's halfway down
I
now.
make a motion to go into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law 30A, for the purpose of discussing pending litigation with Vesper Country Club versus Stonehenge Farm Condominium Trust in the town of Tyngsborough. Only to adjourn, only to, adjourn to.
Motion, come out to adjournment.
Come out to adjournment only, I assume.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Roll call?
Fred?
Yep.
Brian?
Yes.
Darryl?
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna go into executive session, come out for adjournment only.